Alright, big headlines everywhere. Nano Banana makes Photoshop obsolete. So Nano Banana, aka Gemini 2.5 Flash, has been circulating recently. At first, people didn't know who created it. Basically, it's an AI that preserves the original image and allows you to do text-based editing on it. Just released that this is actually created by Google, and this is Gemini 2.5 Flash. So we're going to have a look at it on Google's Gemini, and then we're also going to have a look inside of Adobe Firefly because they've actually included that model in there. We're going to have a look at this, we can see what it can do, and then we're going to kind of analyze it, and we're going to talk about, is this really going to kill Photoshop, or is this just a bunch of hype? So let's jump in and have a look. All right, so let's upload a picture. Okay, so we've got the person here, which happens to be me. Let's have me flying a space shuttle. So here I am, basically flipped and composited into a space shuttle. Let's change this prompt to something else. Change the screen to a black and white TV. So now it's composited in the scene. It has switched out my screen for a black and white TV. There it is. And notice it has the little tag here that lets us know this was generated by AI. Okay, so we're going to change the image to black and white as if it was on an old TV screen. Let's see what we can get here. That's not bad. Is that better than I could do in Photoshop? Not really. Definitely be a little different. It's not bad. Okay, let's go back to this prompt here. And why don't we change the room? So we're going to change the room to a vintage science lab. And, all right, let's see if it can expand the photo as well. All right, I was able to do that. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. So this same model is now inside of Adobe Firefly, so let's go here. All right, here we are in Adobe Firefly. Sometimes people think you have to create an image to get in there, but all you do is just leave it blank and choose Generate, and this will get you into the window. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to use this model. We're going to go down and we're going to use Gemini 2.5 Flash image. And what I'm going to do is we're going to choose Image here. All right, so here we are at Adobe Max waiting for it to start, and a lot of these people look bored. So let's see if we can make them look happy. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to see if we can make the people behind the main person look happy. And, well, some of these people look quite happy now. So I don't know who these people are. If any of them are you, I apologize. I'm not trying to make an example. Yep, those people are definitely looking happier than they were before. For fun, why don't we give it the same prompts and see what happens? Okay, so this created the TV. Notice this on the Wacom Cintiq base, and it actually picked up the picture from the screen. I actually like this one better, even though technically it's coming from exactly the same model. But one of the advantages working here inside of Firefly is I could open this directly inside Photoshop if I wanted and do editing. And we can see here, this is where it's coming from. Content credentials. All right. Let's do the same thing. Okay, let's change it. We're going to hit Generate here. And here we go. So I would definitely, the image generation is very impressive. However, I'm going to say the compositing is not that great. Like the color, see the color in the scene there. I am definitely not matching. Okay, let's try something different. Let's upload another image. Why don't we change the shirt? Let's change the shirt color to red. Okay. Let's make it a darker red. Just testing to see if there's any continuity here. Well, looks like we do have continuity, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so if we look at that, it's not bad. It's pretty good. Why don't we change this remote control? Let's change it to a pie. Let's get rid of the screen. Wow. Okay, that works pretty well. Let's change the background. All right, I'm going to say text-based editing is definitely here. It's definitely not perfect. If you look at this, it started to change some of the features on my face. Also, the camera, notice the text is not quite correct. The compositing is definitely AI looking. The depth of field is not quite, perfect. But, it's definitely coming a long way. Let's change the whole thing to a pencil sketch. All right. I mean, it doesn't really look like me anymore, but it definitely looks like a pencil sketch. It's done a pretty good job. One of the things I noticed when it's compositing, it's not really doing a great job of blending in the color and the light. So when I'm looking at it, in some cases, the blending is pretty good, but it seems like it's struggling with things like depth of field. It's struggling with light direction and color, especially the color temperature. So it kind of can look like things are just kind of pasted in there. Now, this could be a case where maybe you could get it, you could extract it, run it through Adobe Harmonize, and make it better. And of course, the other thing we're dealing with all AI right now is limited resolution. When we're talking about a Photoshop replacement, there's so much more that we use Photoshop for than just photo manipulation. So let's talk about the big one. When we do an edit, any edit, even a tiny little edit, it's recreating the entire image. So at that point, once you've made even the smallest edit, your original image is gone and you're now working on a 100% AI image. Now, to some people, that doesn't matter. To other people, that matters a lot. So the way I look at this, it's definitely not a Photoshop replacement. Photoshop's going to be around for a long time. I do think that, Gemini 2.5 Flash is really amazing at, some of the things it can do. And I'll definitely be incorporating it into my workflow. But it's not going to replace all my tools. It's another tool. And I kind of feel that way about most AI. So if when you look at your commercial work, it's about getting it done to a professional standard in as quick a time as possible. That may or may not involve AI, depending on your client, upon the stipulations of what you're creating. Maybe you're being hired to create AI-generated art. Then go for it. That's definitely a career in the future. A prompt engineer is a great future career. But there's definitely a place for manual work and manual skills. Even if you're using AI, not everything can be exactly the way you want it by typing in prompts. Sometimes it's a lot quicker to open it in Photoshop, grab that tool, make that adjustment. Maybe you're working in a photograph and you want to change the color or you want to change the lighting in one little area. You can just go in and dodge and burn it. So your skills that you're going to learn are going to help you, if nothing else. People that are retouchers, a retoucher is still going to have the job. So instead of retouching a photograph, you're going to be retouching an AI picture because there's still very specific things that humans want and changes that you want that you're just going to have to do manually. So never feel discouraged about the skills you've learned in Photoshop, and don't give up on learning Photoshop because these skills are so useful. And I believe in the future, as less people are skilled in Photoshop, these skills are going to become even more valuable. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Drop them underneath. I'd love to hear. And if you're new, welcome to the cafe. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my tutorials. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.